But yeah, Grey Goose and Jägermeister, a marketing psy-op, and it made billions. Let's find out how. 3, 2, 1, go.
The history of Jäger bombs, but when I started researching it, what I found was the most diabolical marketing genius of all time, so now it's about that. Today we're talking about Sidney French, a World War II aviation engineer that would go on to be an alcohol billionaire by creating Jägermeister as we know it today.
What a journey from aviation to booze. I mean, not a bad business to get into, the booze business. Many a world-changing revolution started by people who made beer. People who were whiskey or rum runners. Or just like cheap vodka, rum, and moonshine. I'm quite fond of good vodka, good rum, and really good whiskey. I'm a bit of a snob, though. I won't drink just anything. But, you know, I also briefly had a bartending arc in my life. And, you know, you pick up a few things. How's it going, Rex? Congratulations. Thank you, JC. Thank you, thank you.
Well as Grey Goose, and is also partially responsible for pretty much every other vodka that costs more than $15. Any
hang on, what?
Much every other vodka that costs more than $15.
Drinking top shelf vodka when you could have just had Tito's. I mean, Tito's is not bad. Grey Goose, that's pretty good. Honestly, the one I tend to prefer, Stolichnaya. Stolichnaya and Belvedere. If I'm going to have vodka, I'd rather have it from the source where people really know what they're doing. From the Russians, from the Polish. Actually, Suntory has, in recent years, gotten into making their own vodka and gin. There was a whiskey shortage. They had not counted on so many people buying so much of their whiskey that they didn't make enough. And so there was all this pent-up demand, but there was a whiskey shortage. And so Suntory, Nika, a lot of other places sort of looked around and said, yeah, you know what? We got to give them something. I know. Let's make some gin. Oh, brilliant idea. Oh, we can also make vodka too. That didn't take very long. Brilliant. Do it. And so they did. Absinthe is the best. You have to be careful with absinthe. That's potent stuff. How do you feel about bourbon? Bourbon's good. I'm a Scotch man. Love me some Scotch, love me some good whiskey. As sacrilege as it is, I'm really quite fond of Japanese whiskey. Though, without people like Masataka Taketsuru devoting their whole lives apprenticing under Scottish artisans to create really good whiskey, even Marina, Scottish woman, I mean, he lived it. Without the wisdom and the tradition of the Scottish, the Japanese whiskey industry would not exist. But what Taketsuru and men like him learned from their time studying under Scottish whiskey distillers, they honestly they beat the Scottish at their own game. They beat everybody at their own game. And just made really, really good whiskey. It's not even close in my view.
And he did it through just marketing and branding. That's it. He didn't improve a product. He didn't make a superior product and offer it at a better price. He didn't have a better value proposition. Nothing. He just seemingly made these things popular out of thin air through just marketing and psychology. And we're going to get into how he did it right after word from our sponsor.
Marketing. I mean, Taylor's oldest time, not confined just to Jägermeister and Grey Goose. So many of the big brand names that we have out there, and so much of it is marketing. I mean, I think of Rolex, for example. Are they the best in the world? Objectively, no. There's plenty of other watchmakers out there that make absolutely gorgeous timepieces, works of mechanical art, and they do it even better than Rolex could ever hope to. What does Rolex have that everyone else does not? They've sank a lot of money, a fuck ton of money, into marketing and into making people think that brand is the best. Leave it to Asia to outdo the West at their own game. Running theme on stream, lol. Yeah. Masataka Taketsuru did it with Suntory Whiskey first and later Nikka Whiskey, the company he founded. Founder of Seiko. Studied how to... I believe he studied under Swiss watchmakers to learn how to make really good watches. His company would eventually, long after his death, go on to create the first quartz wristwatch and just blow all the Swiss out of the water in terms of accuracy to where nobody could come close, and they never did. Japanese car makers, they did the same thing after the war. They just made everything better, faster, cheaper, and started eating the lunch of the Americans, the British, everyone. The Germans, even.
Why are you in a... I was talking about the fact that the water's...
Yeah, we should be.
All right, you guys know the deal. DeleteMe, online subscription.
I'm now worried about the safety of his children and the sanity of his wife. Though I'm sure there's a lot of married men in the audience who say, I worry about the sanity of my wife all the time. Hey!
Model. You give them money every month, they turn around and make sure that data brokers on the internet aren't selling your personal information. What does this actually do in practice? It gets rid of your personal info, isn't just floating around the internet for anybody to be able to buy for a couple of bucks. Okay, I know what you're thinking, because I thought the same thing. I don't want to give DeleteMe all my personal information either. I'm trying to get my personal information off the internet. Why would I give it to an internet company? You don't really have to give them your personal information. It's honestly kind of creepy. I gave them my name and my email address, and that was it. They came back to me a couple of days later and was like, is this your address or one of your previous addresses? It was. Is this your mom's full name? Uh-huh. Is that your dad's full name? Uh-huh. Are you related to this person? Did you go to this high school? They knew everything about me and knew exactly who I was just by me giving them my name and my email. All I had to do was answer a couple of yes or no questions as to whether or not that was in fact me, which it was, at which point they're like, cool, go ahead, pay for our subscription service. We'll go to all the data brokers where we found this information and force them to delete it. And as long as you keep being a paying member, they will continue to monitor all these data brokers for your personal information, and if these data brokers do acquire it again, they will force them to delete it again. In my opinion, it's definitely worth it. I've been using them since before they were paying me to talk about them, and I'm going to keep using them after they quit paying me to talk about them. If you want to give it a try, I'll have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, let's take it from the top. The history of Jägermeister, probably the most notorious alcohol of all time, okay? It's alcoholic Nyquil is basically what it is, okay? It is a nighttime sniffling, sneezing. How the fuck did I wake up here? Medicine is what Jägermeister is. And it started off pretty much exactly how you would think it did, as a vinegar manufacturing facility in Germany.
I was not expecting that.
1918, Kurt Nass takes over his father's vinegar manufacturing plant in Wolfenbüttel, Germany, and vinegar's been kind of...
Wolfenbüttel. What a silly name.
Going downhill profit-wise, so he pretty much immediately transitions from manufacturing vinegar to making wine. And that's what he does for like the next 18 years, he's making wine. But the entire time...
I mean, when you think about it, what is wine that's gone horribly wrong? It's vinegar.
And he also has a side passion project of making what he believes to be the world's best liquor. He works on this thing for over 18 years, different recipes, different methods of making it, just constantly refining and improving the process. Why did it take him 18 years? Because Jägermeister has 56 different herbs and spices in it, okay? They're putting Colonel Sanders to shame. It's got fruit, it's got poppy seeds, it's got ginseng, it's got licorice in it, it's got all kinds of random crap. He then takes all of this stuff, gets it together, and then steeps it in alcohol for 3 days straight. Then he filters the alcohol out and ages it in an oak barrel for a year. Then he filters it again.
Why do you take the alcohol out? That's the best part.
And then mixes it with more alcohol, sugar, and caramel. Okay, if you're not...
So he takes the alcohol out and then mixes in alcohol, sugar, and caramel. Why not just leave the alcohol in and add in the sugar and the caramel? I mean, I don't know. Seems like extra steps. Maybe there's a method to it. I don't know. I don't know how to make Jägermeister. I don't know how to do Jägermeister Jäger.
Picking up what I'm putting down, Curtis Mass has just fulfilled the German stereotype. He has over-engineered something as simple as making alcohol, okay? He literally said, oh, what are you trying to do? You're trying to get blackout drunk. It's the German way, man. I can make you something to get blackout drunk. It's going to be 100 ingredients. It's going to take a year to make, and the manufacturing process is going to be so complicated that it has 383 quality checks before you're allowed to drink it. Wow, that sounds really complicated. I bet Jägermeister tastes absolutely delicious. No, not at all. Actually, it tastes like cough syrup. Well, the first shot tastes like cough syrup. The fifth shot tastes like invading Poland with your homies is a good idea.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. By 1934, he perfects his recipe for Jägermeister. Next thing he does is he has to come up with a name, and he decides Jägermeister.
We always go back to the invading Poland jokes.
Which is German for huntmaster. Hunting in Germany at this time was like a very prestigious thing. If you were a hunter, you were probably wealthy, you had a lot of money, so he's going to market this product
with the Kaiser
to hunters. So we've got our product, we've got our target audience, we've got a cool name. Now
the target audience was the Kaiser. If that's the case, I got some bad news for you, mate.
We just have to work on the packaging, right? And this is where Jägermeister gets its iconic green bottle from, and you might just think, oh, it's a cool looking bottle. It was made in the 1930s. It's old timey looking. That was probably state of the art cool shit back in the day. No, not really. The bottle itself is the most interesting part of the entire process because that bottle was specifically selected through very rigorous scientific study. And by rigorous scientific study, I mean he went and bought a bunch of sample bottles from all the manufacturers around and then tested them all by throwing them at the floor, and this was the last one to break. Okay, homie knew people were going to get fucked up on Jägermeister. So he's got his product, he's ready to take...
No, so he was going for the most impact-resistant glass to make sure when people got absolutely fucked on his product, you know, if they accidentally dropped the bottle, which probably happened a lot more often than people would like to admit, that it wouldn't shatter so easily. Clever. Gotta give him that. I mean, especially when we're talking about 1930s, plastics weren't really a thing back then. Bar glasses are tested in a similar manner. I'm going to explain the thickness of them and how they're rather plain in their shape and their form. Brilliant.
Take it to market. He takes it to market, and it becomes pretty popular pretty quickly because unfortunately, Hermann Göring...
Also, can I just say, the missus, able to hide a concealed carry pistol, metal Silverberg style between a booba. One wonders what else she's got in there. I just now thought of that. I'm a bit late. Sorry, chat.
And it becomes pretty popular pretty quickly because... unfortunately, Hermann Göring likes it.
Well, I mean, it is the 1930s. It is Germany. And people like Hermann Göring and a certain Austrian painter are in power, along with their, along with their party of, certain extremely nationalist and socialist German workers. So yeah, stands to reason that some of the Nazis would take a bit of a shine to Jägermeister. Note to self: in a bar fight, grab a bottle of Jäger, it won't break on you.
Like the second most powerful man in Germany in 1934, aka Hitler's right-hand man.
Yeah, I believe Hitler himself was a teetotaler. He never drank, never smoked. No real vices like that.
Hermann Göring, who also holds the title of Jägermeister, aka the Imperial Huntmaster of Germany.
Jägermeister. Okay, I can see where this is going. I think we all can see where this is going.
Germany, the guy that you have to go through to get a hunting license in the entire country. So, I mean, obviously he likes it. It's kind of named
easy
after
enough,
him,
yeah.
It wasn't deliberately named after him. It was just named Huntmaster, but that guy's title is the Imperial Huntmaster of Germany. So, like, you know.
There was a permit process involved, I believe, for firearms ownership in Germany, but I believe it is a a lot of people like to do that whole historical misnomer about how Nazi Germany had really strict gun control or something like that, and the historicity of that is highly questionable. There was a permit process. Germans did not have some sort of automatic right to firearms ownership like the Americans do. So there was still permitting process, but there was no super strict gun control measures in Nazi Germany. I believe that's a historical misnomer.
It's kind of named after him. If there was a beer called Fat Electrician, I'd probably drink it, even if I had nothing to do with it.
Write that down, write that down!
Because of this, Jägermeister gets the nickname Goring Schnapps in Germany through the 1930s and 40s.
Goring
right around
Schnapps.
exactly May 8th, 1945, it loses that nickname, and the Jägermeister brand distances itself from
When did it lose that name?
Schnapps in Germany through the 1930s and 40s. Right around exactly May 8th, 1945, it loses that nickname.
May 8th, 1945. Gosh, I wonder what happened then. You know, had themselves a bit of a war and then decided, yeah, we're done. Oh, and Germany, you've lost. Again.
The Jägermeister brand distances itself from the Nazi Party for obvious reasons.
Okay, yeah, you don't really want to be associated with the losing side and, you know, all the shit that went down with them.
Don't overthink it, all right? Just live by the golden rule. Never ask a man how much money he makes, never ask a woman how much she weighs, and never ever ask a German company what the fuck they were up to in the 1930s and 40s, all right? You'll live
Yeah, they were all just on vacation. They were all on holiday at that time. They were all just taking themselves a nice, long, lovely vacation. We don't ask what Jägermeister was up to in the 1930s. We don't ask what Volkswagen was doing. We don't ask what, you know, any of that lot was up to. Just, nah. We don't go there.
Happier life. Nobody needs to know that Porsche was making tanks. Anyways.
The Dove representing Deutschland.
From here, Jägermeister kind of falls off. It's kind of being promoted as like a digestive aid, like old people are drinking it after dinner to help them digest their food better because it's got all the herbs and spices and botanicals and bullshit in it. Like you were more likely to find it in your grandmother's medicine cabinet than you were like at a bar or at a party. But then somebody came along and changed that. Cue our main character, Sidney Frank. During World War II, he was an engineer working for Pratt & Whitney, helping the Allies make bigger, better, faster
Sidney
planes.
Frank.
After he comes back home from World War II, he meets his wife Lois and marries her. And Lois is an heiress to Schenley Industries, one of the biggest alcohol companies in the United States of America. So Frank goes...
He married a woman who owned a liquor store. Brilliant. Don't ask Ford the same question too. Yeah, we don't talk about some of the things that Henry Ford wrote pre-World War II. Yeah, we don't want to get into that. Minions director made clear the Minions never worked for Hitler. They only work for villain. After all, let's just say the owner wrote a controversial book. Yes, about a certain international subset of the population. Married to Lois, eh? Sounds like a real family guy. Yeah, luckily there's a man who positively can do all the things that make us laugh and cry. Welcome in, Megalum. One and only Stormy, hello to you. Thank you for checking in over on Kick.
Goes to work at his in-law.
Yeah, a certain international tiny hat gang. He wrote a book about that. Started out as a series of articles in newspapers in Detroit that he just so happened to own. Funny how that works.
Liquor business. He works his way up the ranks and eventually becomes the president of the entire company. And then in 1970, there's this big family dispute. He ends up getting fired and goes off and starts his own rival business, Sidney Frank Importing Company. And
I'll show you. I want to start my own booze company with blackjack and hookers.
then in 1973, he would acquire the exclusive U.S. importing rights for this obscure old liquor from Germany called Jägermeister, which wasn't really that big of a deal at the time because nobody drank Jägermeister. They were only importing 5,000 cases to the entire country every year.
Yeah, the Americans are just like, we ain't drinking that goddamn kraut slop.
And most of those were going to like herbal pharmacies and stuff. They weren't getting bought up by bars and parties and liquor stores. And that's why he was able to get it. He's a small startup company, just went out on his own. He doesn't have the money to buy the importing.
He's getting in on the ground floor. You know, it's like, Nobody wants Jägermeister because they're just like, isn't this made by people we kick their asses in the war? It's like, why would we want to buy the products of the loser? Yeah. Almost thought you were American. I've been known to slip into an American accent on occasion, when need be.
License for an entire country for something that's actually popular. So the only thing he can do is gather up a bunch of these little tiny obscure brands and hope they sell, or he could get one and figure out a way to make it popular. And that's exactly what he does. But the problem is how do you make—
I mean, he could have just scooped up a whole bunch of smaller brands and tried to figure out how to make them all popular. Could have gone the third way. It's like, why not do both, mate? Well, then again, it's like you only have so much time and resources, so you got to pick one and make it count. Still, big gamble. Imagine if it hadn't worked out. Jaeger bombs would not be a thing. Le gasp.
Make alcoholic cough syrup from a German grandmother's medicine cabinet popular? In Sidney Frank's own words, and I quote, "I'm not selling a drink, I'm selling a lifestyle."
There's actually a lot of brilliance in that. In a way, he is saying, I'm not selling you the steak, I'm selling you the sizzle. Does Rolex sell you a watch? No. They sell you a lifestyle product. They sell you a pretty shiny thing that screams out to the rest of the world, I'm rich, I'm loaded, I've made it in life. Does Ferrari sell you a fast car? I mean, you give them an opportunity, they'll sell you a shitbox EV for about 700 grand. But they're traditional petrol engine cars, they're sports cars. They're not selling you a sports car, they're selling you a lifestyle. They're selling you an image, a brand. Is a steakhouse necessarily selling you a steak? No. I mean, they're selling you a meal. You go there because you're hungry. But then again, if you're hungry, you could go anywhere. You go to McDonald's. Steakhouse is selling you an expensive meal you can't find anywhere else. Or you can't find at a lot of places. They're selling you lifestyle. Back when country clubs used to be a thing. You go to the country club to play golf? No, you could go to play golf anywhere. Well, most anywhere. There's city-run golf clubs that will do just fine. You would go to the country club because you wanted to be seen. And you wanted access to elite circles. It wasn't just golfing, it was a place for networking. Rex, being a man of impeccable taste and expertise, what's your favorite wine pairings with food? May or may not be trying to up my classy game for future ladies. Fine. Never hurts. Don't do it just for the ladies, though. Do it for yourself. Not really much of a wine snob. If anything, you find yourself at a fancy restaurant, steakhouse, something like that. Lean on the waiter's expertise. If they're worth their salt, they'll know what to recommend. Just tell the waiter, hey, I'm thinking about having a steak, having a fillet or something like that. What sort of wine would you recommend? And if they're good, they can make some recommendations. If they can't, well, that just speaks to just the shit tier of the place that you're in. General rule of thumb, match the color of the wine with the color of the meat. Red wine with beef, white wine with fish or chicken. Usually hard to go wrong with that. Reminds me of a lot of steakhouses enforcing dress codes to weed out the wrong type of people. Oh yeah, it's been a long-standing tradition. There's some places they will not seat you unless you've got coat and tie on, or you at least, look kind of slightly dressy casual. I know some places have let the sides down like that. But yeah, there are still some places where, yeah, unless you look presentable, they're not going to seat you. And honestly, we need to go back and we need more places that enforce dress codes like that. I remember the cooking rule, never cook with wine you wouldn't drink. I don't know about that. If you don't like the wine, if you buy a bottle of wine and you don't like it, then absolutely it becomes a base for cooking. But really, I think so much of the sommelier world, all that fancy stuff is just, a lot of it's just a load of bollocks. Frankly, I have gotten more enjoyment, more pleasure out of a cheap bottle of wine from Trader Joe's, what used to be known as $2 chuck, I think is more expensive now, than I ever could from the fanciest of wines, you know, something like a Chateau Lafite. Ghetto people often go everywhere unpresentable. I mean, for some people, they just never acquire good taste. I agree, it'd be a good way of gatekeeping, indeed. And if beauty is to save the world, we've got to start enforcing standards somewhere, don't we?
Okay, step one, this stuff tastes horrible. We're going to make sure that nobody actually tastes it, okay? Jägermeister is not something that you drink like a beer. It's not something that you sip on like whiskey. It's something that you do in a shot. And even then, it tastes horrible, so we're going to market it that you have to do the shot when the Jägermeister is ice cold, fresh out of the freezer. Okay, next problem, if the Jägermeister is in the freezer, it's not...
You don't necessarily have to do that. Keep in mind, chat, this is all shit that they're making up. How do you feel about beers and ale, IPAs, stouts, etc.? Big name brands from places like Anheuser-Busch, Miller Coors, most of them taste like heavy water. There's a lot of fantastic microbrews out there, smaller breweries, but ultimately I drink for taste, and with individuals' taste varies. I would say experiment. Try lots of beers and find what tastes good for you. Find your favorites. And the best way to do that is order a flight.
Up behind the bar where people can see it, and if people can't see it, they're not going to order it because they can't telepathically see what's inside of the freezer, so they have to figure out a way to make it ice cold and get it in front of people's faces. Introducing the Jäger machine that keeps the Jäger ice cold and is this big cool looking thing where the liquor bottles sit on top of it, and that's how the bartender...
That really is German overcomplication. You can get the same results by just, I don't know, sticking it in the freezer.
Is going to get you your shot, and that alone is going to drive the sales of Jägermeister because everybody's going to be like, what the fuck is that thing? Yes, I want to try it. And because of this, Jäger becomes outrageously popular in bars all over America.
Jäger bombs, Jäger bombs, Jäger bombs, Jäger bombs.
They're supposed to get you fucked up, and that's what Jäger specializes in. So now things are going pretty good for Jägermeister, so Sidney Frank pushes it even further. He starts marketing to college kids specifically. How does he do this? He starts sponsoring concerts from local popular bands. He starts giving Jäger out to all the fraternities and giving them to all the college kids that throw parties so that they can use it for their party. He even goes as far as hiring attractive women dressed up in Jägermeister outfits to go out and give out free shots of Jägermeister.
What a concept. Sex sells. You want to sell your product, hire lots of pretty ladies and dress them up in skimpy outfits and have them push your product. My city has a lot of breweries, distilleries, and meaderies, so I definitely want to explore more of the good stuff. Mead is really good. I've had great difficulty finding good sources of mead. But yeah, get out there and explore. If you have to get out and touch grass, go do it at breweries, distilleries, meaderies, places that offer tastings, or places that offer tastings and food. That's even better. And hey, just throwing the idea out here. You want to take your bird on a date? What better place than to a beer tasting, or to spirits tasting, or tasting varieties of mead, and enjoying some delicious food with it. Most girls, if they got any good sense, they're not going to turn that down. If they do, they're not the right one for you. I like hard cider, apple and peach ale, Strongbow is my go-tos. Hard cider's pretty good. Hard cider is pretty good. That's how Red Bull got so huge, sending pretty ladies to colleges. Yeah, sex sells. Hire some pretty ladies, hand them some merch with your logo on it, dress them up in a skimpy outfit, and set them loose on hordes of young, horny men. Got some good local meaderies in Texas. Really? I prefer my liquor to taste good too. Yeah, it's you don't things like Jägermeister. Yeah, taste like shit. We don't have to live like this. And so much of that, I don't know if the electrician's going to get into it here, but so much of that is, especially in America, as a product of Prohibition. Quality of the booze went just off a cliff during Prohibition and never really recovered afterwards. It was only in more recent times that we have just gourmand levels of choices and higher grades of quality to choose from. Partly because, people are just no longer satisfied with the cheap swill that they had on offer. They knew there were lots of choices out there in the world that they could choose from. But another thing, and it's not just with the booze, but it's also with food. Most of us in the Western world, we've got gourmand palates now for a lot of things. We are a lot pickier now as eaters than we were before. My theory with a lot of that I think there is a close relationship with the tastes and the pickier preferences for quality with people rising as the number of smokers declined in the Western world. As we've seen a decline of smoking, we've seen an increase in people getting picky and demanding higher quality in their food and in their drink. Because what's the one thing that just goes away for the most part when you're a smoker? Your sense of taste. You smoke enough cigarettes or cigars and you can eat most anything because it's all just kind of flavorless and tasteless to you. Because your sense of taste gets killed by the consumption of tobacco. But with so many people quitting smoking, or like me, never picking up the habit, our tastes, our preferences, and our demand for higher quality in our food and drink has increased, and companies in the market have responded accordingly. Rex with the gold advice. I don't know about that, but thank you. In my opinion, Prohibition was just a temporary excuse for income tax. It created so much more trouble in mafia-related crime. Yes, it's why you don't try to ban anything like that. That's why I've always been against a pornography ban. Even though, yes, subjectively, porn can be bad for you. It creates a dependency when you've got an imagination that is free. It's like, why look at that? When you've got your imagination and when you can just, despite the difficulties, yes, you can still go out and find yourself a nice girl. And I'm sure if you're a really, really good boy, she'll let you see the naked bits. But I don't want to ban porn because I don't want to create that sort of black market. I know it's more trouble than it's worth. And so it's why I tell a lot of people, especially Christian influencers, content creators, VTubers, every time I tell them, no, do not start talking about porn bans. You are spurging out on something you do not need to be spurging out on. And this is not going to end well. It is not going to end the way you think it will. You are just going to create a golem in the form of a black market. All because you wanted to do your own pious version of virtue signaling. It's not worth it. Never touch smoking. Seen what they did to my father. Still suck on pouches, though. I would say if you can, switch over to the purely nicotine pouches if they aren't available. But yeah, if you can kick the habit, do it. Yeah, black markets create more trouble, sadly. Yes. Anyway, I think we've kind of stuck on this freeze frame of pretty girl long enough. Maybe. Debatable.
called the Jägerettes. Okay, do you understand what he did? He did the Red Bull
The
thing.
Jägerettes.
He did it like 20 years before Red Bull did it. Red Bull ripped off Jägermeister and Sidney Frank for their entire marketing strategy. Red Bull became popular in bars because they had the little Red Bull cooler right there on the bar for your vodka Red Bulls. Jägermeister did the same thing with the Jäger machine. Red Bull sponsored.
I mean, if you're going to steal from the best. Steal from what works. Might as well. Yeah, don't ban porn. It'll make things worse and it'll lead to the rise of pimps. Yeah. Buy pretty girl freeze frame. Sag.
Concerts and college parties. Jägermeister did the same thing 20 years prior. Red Bull has the Red Bull girls running around giving out cans of free energy drinks, and the Jägerettes are running around giving out shots. Red Bull ripped off Jägermeister's entire marketing strategy and gets all the credit for it. And
I have to, now I'm starting to wonder what that would taste like. I mean, you've seen like the vodka Red Bull shots. Gosh, what would that taste like if you did a shot of Jägermeister mixed with Red Bull? I'm sure somebody has done that already. I've not been courageous enough to try that myself. Like I said, I drink for taste. I drink to, if I'm going to get shit-faced, I'd prefer to do it slowly and with quality booze. But yeah, chat, if any of you have done Red Bull Jäger shots, let me know how they tasted. Especially let me know how much they tasted like shit. And how you felt both jittery and drunk at the same time.
obviously, the strategy works pretty well. That's why Red Bull ripped it off in the first place, because Jäger is the most popular liquor in America by the early 1990s. I couldn't find concrete stats for the early 1990s, but by 2006, Jägermeister by itself accounted for 11% of all liquor imports.
Only to keep it with 38 different flavors was bigger with a 12% share, according to Impact Databank. I'm sure there are many a college boy that's made ungodly mixtures. Oh, Jäger and Red Bull is called a Jäger bomb. I thought it was Jäger and beer. I thought that was a Jäger bomb. I didn't know that was supposed to be Red Bull. I was always taught Jäger bombs were a combination Jäger and beer.
To the United States. He took Jägermeister from 5,000 cases a year to over 2 million. He didn't make the product better. He didn't make it cheaper. He literally just improved the branding and turned Jägermeister into the most popular liquor in America. So by 19...
I mean, you look at this, all these adverts here, these are well shot, and you'd never know. Yeah, tastes like shit. But that's not the point of the advert. It's to sell you the product, not necessarily on the fact that it tastes good. Quite a slice of pie, yeah. That's a lot of drunken frat boys. Of course, given the makeup of the student body, especially of American universities, I don't know if they're all buying Jägermeister anymore, but that's a lot of drunken sorority girls. I don't know. Is Greek life even a thing anymore? I think everyone got a hate boner for the frat bros and the fraternity houses, that they have kind of cracked down on them. I imagine they probably haven't done anything near as bad with the sorority houses, even though their behavior's a million times worse. Is that even a thing anymore? Does anyone even care? I doubt they do. I would imagine a lot of Gen Z and soon to be Gen Alpha, they can't be bothered. Can confirm it's actually Red Bull. Oh, well, I've been fed a lie this entire time. The version of Jäger bomb that I was served up many years ago was Jäger and beer. Tastes like black licorice to me. That is one of the ingredients, I think. One of many ingredients with Jägermeister.
1997, he's got the most popular liquor in America, and he has exclusive importing rights for the entire country. He's bored. He needs a new side project, so he decides, I'll do it again. I took alcoholic German cough syrup and made
Let's
it the
make
most
it lightning
popular drink in
strike
America.
twice.
Imagine what I could do if I started from scratch and actually just got to pick the liquor that I wanted to make and then made that popular. So that's exactly what he does. So what's going to be the easiest thing to promote? Vodka. Why? Because vodka is literally by definition a neutral spirit with no distinct flavor, taste, aroma, or color. Okay, it's rubbing alcohol mixed with water. That's all vodka is, which means it is the perfect alcohol to be
gross
able to launch a
oversimplification, but
luxury
okay.
brand of and not actually have to do any work on making a good product. Because the entire point of vodka is to look, taste, and smell like nothing. So what is the difference between luxury nothing and good old garden variety nothing? Nothing. So all you
Because it's nothing. Though to Grey Goose's credit, it's not bland, it's not boring, doesn't taste like shit. It's actually a decent vodka that is absolutely worth mixing into, say, a martini, for example.
he has to do is launch a brand and then convince people that his is fancy, and guess who's going to be able to tell? Nobody, because nothing tastes like fucking nothing.
I can taste air.
How's he going to do it? Step 1, fancy name, Grey Goose. How'd he come up with it? He had already trademarked the name from a previous failed business venture. Step 2, have fancy packaging. He looks around, he's like, okay, what are the most popular vodkas in America? Okay, the most expensive vodka.
I mean, I've seen some Grey Goose adverts. I think they had a series in the 2000s or the 2010s. Frenchman telling the story of his friend Francois deciding he's not going to make any sort of fine spirits or wine in the Cognac region of France. He's going to make vodka. And so the bloke telling the story is just like, yes, when Francois decided to make vodka in the Cognac region of France, everyone was just like, none. Bad vodka burns more and gives worse headaches. Yes, and probably the worst example of that is Smirnoff, which is not a Russian brand of vodka. It's an American brand of vodka made to sound like it's Russian, though it's not. And it is absolute shit tier vodka. If you want decent vodka, Grey Goose, Belvedere, Stolichnaya, or Suntory.
In 1997 is Absolute Vodka, selling for $15 a
Tito's
bottle.
not bad
it's
either.
Short and fat, cool. We're going to be tall and skinny. They're the dwarves. We're the elves. We're the fancy ones. And then instead of having a twist top like every other vodka on the planet, we're going to have a cork in ours. Does it do anything whatsoever? No, but it looks fancy. Absolute Vodka is also the most expensive vodka at the time at $15 a bottle.
That is also shit vodka, Absolute. Don't buy Absolute, chat. Never drink anything Canadian Mist. Yes, no, don't do that.
Double it!
We're going to sell ours for $30 a bottle. Because if it's expensive, it must be good, right?
Price quality heuristic, chat. A cognitive shortcut where consumers assume higher priced products possess superior quality. It happens every time. Is a Rolex Submarino really worth about $11,000 or $12,000 US? No. For the most part, you are paying for a brand. You can get effectively about 80 to 90% of the same product for about half the price by buying a Tudor. You can also spend about $250 to $500 and get yourself a Casio G-Shock. And that could potentially be the last watch you ever buy. Even cheaper if you spend about $50 for an F91W. How do you feel about tequila? Don't really drink a whole lot of tequila myself. I mean, I guess you could go for things like Jose Cuervo. You know, some of the well-known brands, I guess they're all right. I don't really go in for tequila personally. Not a tequila drinker. Some girls that you pump them and full of enough tequila, it does something to them. Sometimes it's fun.
Even if it's nothing. Step 3, convince them that it's fancy. Convince them that it's luxurious. How are you going to do that? Well, all the vodka in 1997 is pretty much made in Russia and Poland, so what's fancier and more luxurious than Russia or Poland? France. I mean, France is where all the fancy shit comes from, right? Truffles, French wine, getting your ass beat in World War II. Louis Vuitton, champagne, societal adultery to the degree that you have to make it illegal to have paternity tests in your country, because if you had paternity tests readily available, it would break up so many families that it would destroy your country. Paris Fashion Week, the Eiffel Tower, the Mona
that's the French
Lisa,
for you.
those weird loaves of bread that sound like a slur for gay people. You guys get the point. In his own words, and I quote, France has the best of
Oui, Monsieur Baguette.
everything. It's the home of luxury. We can bottle that. But he's not
Le
going to
Chevalier du Chevy Corvette French toast.
He's going to co-opt as many fancy sounding words as he possibly can. He's going to have his vodka made with wheat from the Picardy region of France because it sounds like Bacardi. Is it better than any other wheat? No, but it sounds fancy. He's going to hire a distillery to make it for him in the Cognac region of France. Does the geographical location of where the vodka is distilled affect it in any way whatsoever?
Wait, I just thought about this. The old advert campaign I was talking about for Grey Goose, talking about a man named Francois. And the bloke who started that is Sidney Frank. What is the French version of Frank? Francois. Mind blown, chat. It all makes sense now. You baguette. Welcome in, Dalton. Yes. We can't call them the actual the F slur. That's a violation of TOS in some places and get your account struck down. You can call them a toga for a baguette.
No, but he gets to say cognac in the advertising now. And then he's going to make sure that that distiller in the Cognac region of France filters the vodka over champagne limestone. Is that better than any other type of filtration method? No, but he gets to say champagne limestone. So, hey, it's got to be...
He is being really clever about all of this. It's like, is all of this really adding to product quality, making it better? No, but it sounds fancy and posh. And you know what? For some people, perception is reality.
Fancy. And then he uses that to basically shit on every other vodka brand, because every other vodka brand at this point in time usually brags about how many times their vodka gets distilled, with the implication being the more times it's distilled, the better the product is. For example, Absolute Vodka claims that they're distilled 100 times.
Yeah, I'm going to press X to doubt on that because Absolute Vodka tastes like shit.
Frank flips the script. He goes, well, because I'm using such superior products, I'm using Picardy wheat and I'm filtering over champagne limestone and it's distilled in Cognac, France, I only need to distill it one time because my ingredients are so much better than yours. Even though they're not. It's all just marketing BS.
I lied.
And here's the crazy part. He figures out all of this before he even finds somebody to make the product. Like, he already knows exactly what ingredients he wants, where he wants it made, how he wants it filtered, what the bottle's going to look like, what the brand is going to be called. Hasn't even found anybody to actually distill the vodka yet, because it's the least important aspect of the entire brand. Because again, nothing tastes like nothing. This is why Costco's brand Kirkland wins all kinds of awards for...
I didn't even know Kirkland's Signature and Costco had a vodka brand. I may need to try that. This, though, is my go-to chat. Stolichnaya. Especially if you can get your hands on some Stolichnaya Elite. A bit more expensive. It's damn good vodka. Kirkland's Signature Vodka. Huh. That is wild. Costco generally has quality in all of their products. Oh, yes. No, I mean, Kirkland's Signature, you know you're getting good stuff with them. No matter what it is. I did not know that they had their own vodka. But, I mean, I'd fuck with it. I'd have some. Max, how do you feel about peppermint schnapps? Yes, I've been asking a million random drink questions like an 8-year-old with irresponsible parents. It's all right, Elucidator. I cannot remember a time I've ever had peppermint schnapps. If it tastes good to you, go for it. Sounds like it would be fantastic in a sort of Christmas time drink. Because what do so many candy canes taste like? Peppermint. Costco liquor is surprisingly good. I mean, Costco anything is surprisingly good. I'd go for it. I may have to renew my Costco membership and go back and Get some Kirkland signature vodka. Let you know how it tastes.
Having the best blind taste test vodka, because once you take
Make
the
all
fancy
sorts of
packaging
alcohol,
out of
actually.
it, it's all the same shit. So he gets that done. He launches the brand, and he specifically
Interesting.
targets like ultra high-end bars and like airport lounges for first-class people, like people with money that are going to see the Grey Goose and want to buy it, knowing that it's the most expensive one. Because these are the people that when the bartender asks, "Oh, what kind of vodka did you want?" Top shelf, most expensive one, and he's double the price of everyone else. And that's it. That's all it took. Suddenly, Grey Goose is known as being
Double the price and then 100% markup when you get to the bars and the nightclubs. So doubling and then doubling again. So about 4x. That's one hell of a racket.
best vodka around because it's the most expensive, and expensive equals the best, and it's hard to disprove it because guess what? It's supposed to taste like fucking nothing, so of course it tastes like all the other nothing, but this nothing is better because it's twice the price. The entire business model is just make people feel special for overpaying for something, just like...
Yeah. Wineries do the same thing. There's so many wineries out there that have got these super expensive vintages. Most people don't have any sort of sophisticated palate to be able to tell the difference between that and a cheap bottle of wine. I certainly don't. Which is why I never bothered with expensive bottles of wine. I mean, if somebody's offering me a glass from a bottle of Chateau Lafite de Rothschild, I'm not going to turn it down. That would be rude of me, and plus it's still damn good wine. But most of the time you come around my flat, if I have wine served, it's probably just going to be a $4 to $5 bottle of Charles Shaw blended wine from Trader Joe's. Because that tastes good. That tastes like good wine, and I didn't have to pay a whole lot for it. The same thing with champagne and sparkling wine. I've had Dom Perignon before. I've had Bollinger before. Really expensive bottles of champagne. Dom Perignon has held fairly steady at about $125, $150 US per bottle. I've had it before. I wasn't impressed. What do I prefer instead? I prefer Italian sparkling wines. La Marca, especially Martini and Rossi, the Asti Spumante, or the Prosecco, both are good. Martini and Rossi, I think it's like $15 a bottle, maybe $10 if you catch a sale. I love it. It's my favorite. Is it going to win any taste test contests? Probably not. Would a lot of higher class, wealthier people tend to look down the nose on that sort of thing? Probably. Do I care? No. Proof that half the country is retarded. I mean, look, you can have all the money in the world, and believe me, I have been in places in my life where I've had a lot of money, and I've also had very little money. And money cannot buy good taste or sophistication. Like genuine, true sophistication. Much of that can only come through a lot of lived experience. And the most sophisticated, worldly wise people do not have the most expensive clothing. They do not drive the flashiest, most expensive car. They don't wear the blingiest, most iced out wristwatch you can imagine. They fly commercial. They have probably never once in their lives set foot in a private jet. They're some of those types of people. They've got an old money mentality, even though they don't necessarily come from old money. I should like to think that I've got quite a bit of an old money mentality, and I fight with every ounce of strength in me to never go in the direction of someone who is tasteless and nouveau riche. Italian wine with a pretty Italian lady sounds divine, right? True and real? I mean, I figure you crack open a bottle of Italian wine, the Italian lady is sure to come along eventually, yeah? Maybe with an empty glass in hand.
When you drink Grey Goose, people know that you have too much fucking money.
Because here at Globo Gym, we're better than you, and we know it.
Okay, on one hand, that's stupid, but on the other hand, it's not stupid if it works, and this fucking works because it becomes the #1 luxury vodka in the country in like a year. And within 7 years of making the brand seemingly out of
You lost me when Paris Hilton started doing adverts for them.
thin air, he would sell the entire brand to Bacardi for
$2 billion he got out of that sale of Grey Goose to Bacardi. Bacardi also owning Dewar's Scotch and Bombay Sapphire Gin. I mean, fairly decent Scotch, good gin. If you ever want to make yourself a really super strong martini, chat, take the recipe from Casino Royale, both the Ian Fleming novel and the movie itself. 3 measures of Bombay Sapphire Gin, 1 measure of Stolichnaya vodka. I'm just using my preferred gin and vodka there. 1/2 measure of Lillet Blanc as a white wine aperitif. Shake it over ice. Strain it into a martini glass. Garnish with a thin slice of lemon peel. I can do maybe 2.5 of those before I pass out. They are strong. $2 billion. I need to make me a vodka recipe and sell that, right? Get on it, Elucidator, with your bathtub vodka.
$2.3 billion with a B.
Love that money that I have accrued over this past season.
Okay, do you understand how
Jesus, I see what you've done for other people, and I want that for me.
crazy that is? There's nothing to this company. They don't own a factory where they make the product. They literally just outsource it to a third party. They don't have a secret recipe that somebody's buying the rights to. It's just whatever fucking vodka you want to cram in the bottle. They literally paid $2.3 billion just to have the right to the Grey Goose bottle and the words Grey Goose. That's it. $2.3 billion for a name and a bottle design. And the rest of the business world sees this and they're like, holy shit.
That's the fanciest bathtub vodka around. If you're willing to push volume, you could brand it as bathtub vodka. If someone hasn't already gotten to that, as somebody already hasn't done it, that could work. It's mad enough to work. I mean, people will brand any sort of booze. Sometimes they'll give it the weirdest names. But damn it if it doesn't sell. It's mental.
Brilliant. We should do the exact same thing. And this basically was the birth of the ultra high-end luxury vodka market. Everybody else was just doing the same exact thing, trying to be special and luxurious. Like, oh, this one comes inside of a skull. This one's got gold flakes in it. This one's made from grapes and is sponsored by P. Diddy, which backfired spectacularly, by the way.
Diddy blood.
Yes. All right, it was fine.
Sidney Frank basically just printed $2.3 billion out of thin air. He's 84 years old, so he just starts giving
I mean, those cigars aren't going to pay for and smoke themselves, you know.
away to charity. Giving away hundreds of millions of dollars, he ended up being the biggest donor in Brown University history, did a bunch of philanthropy and a bunch of other stuff, and then 2 years later, in 2006, he would
That is a hell of a tax write-off.
pass away from a heart attack on his private jet as a billionaire, which is definitely a version of the American dream. And if that doesn't teach you the power
Nice
of
one way to go,
marketing
isn't
and
it?
branding, absolutely nothing will. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch, maybe drink some Echelon. All that's available over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
Okay, that was good.
Explain
That's good
what
content.
Jägermeister liqueur is.
It's 56 herbs. You know, herbs are a big thing here in the States. Now there are over $1 billion worth of herbs. And also the main thing when I think of what Jägermeister tastes like, to me it tastes like money because I'm making money on it.
That is American. That is so American. All right. We'll drop that into the chat for everybody. If you're not following the Fat Electrician, I mean, what are you even doing?